Welcome back to Community Matters. We're sending you into the kitchen to learn how to prepare a great international dish with Cherise Byers, owner and chef instructor at Fundamentally Sound LLC, and International Festival's cooking demonstration coordinator. Welcome, Cherise.
Thanks, Bill. We're here today at the Whisk Kitchen in Cary to prepare some of the dishes you might find at International Festival of Raleigh. We will be preparing chicken farouche and Trapanese-style Sicilian pesto. I have here a couple of chicken legs that we are going to first season with salt and then finish with a little bit of the Lebanese 7 spice. So first, I'm going to take the chicken and I'm going to season it with salt because the spice mix does not have any salt in it. It's really important that you season both sides with salt, or else you will get this spiced chicken that tastes really flat, like it's missing something. Pull the skin back and season the actual meat. So now I have the 7 spice mixture, and I'm gonna put a little bit on the sheet tray so I won't have to worry about cross-contamination with the spice. And make sure to pull the skin back on the chicken. I like to take the chicken, pull the skin back into place, and that is really important because if you don't, when you go to brown the chicken, it will not be cooked all the way. You will have some little gummy folds in there. So always pull the chicken skin back in place. Our chicken is seasoned perfectly with salt and rubbed generously with the spice rub. So now we're going to thinly slice the onion for the chicken farouche. And what I like to tell people in classes is to first make as little cuts, few cuts as possible to get this round object stable. So the best thing to do would be to slice off a little of the bottom edge, and that way it's stable, and then you cut right through the top. Fingers back. Okay, we're gonna move on to potatoes. Here I have a pretty large Yukon Gold potato. I'm gonna leave the skin on. The purpose of leaving the skin on is as the potato cooks, it is less likely to break down. The skin actually holds the potato together. And we will do a medium dice on it. You don't want to chop the potatoes too small because they will turn into mashed potatoes in your dish. So you need a little bit of size on them so they hold their shape throughout the cooking process. So now we have our potatoes and onions in the dish. We're going to sprinkle it with salt because even though we seasoned the chicken, the potatoes and onions do not have any seasoning on them. We will mix the lemon juice and the olive oil, and we will pour it over the onions and the potatoes. And then you get your hands in there and toss it till it's evenly combined. This will go in the oven for about 10 minutes to get it a little bit par cooked before we add the chicken and finish the dish. Here we have our onions, potatoes, and garlic already cooked a little bit. We're gonna take the chicken and nestle it in the pan with the onions and the potatoes. But here is something that's very important. You have to make sure that skin is pulled all the way back up and make sure it's facing up. And that is important because that is considered the presentation side. Also, if you don't have the skin up, it's not gonna get crispy. You need your hands for this. Keep in mind that the chicken will release liquid as it cooks, and that will provide your sauce for the dish. Next, you nestle the tomatoes. I do like to leave the tomatoes also exposed because it's really good when they get a little char on them. So part of them will have some of the flavor of the sauce, and then another part will have this nice flavorful char on them. When it comes to this recipe, do not feel restrained by the amounts. All I say is to make sure that everything can fit in the pan in one layer, because what you want to have is the bottom of all of this sitting in the juices and the top part exposed to the hot air of the oven. All right, our potatoes, chicken, onions, and tomatoes are ready to go in the oven. We're gonna leave this uncovered because we have pretty small pieces of chicken. I'm not too worried about it not being done by the time 20-30 minutes is up. So our chicken is done, it's hot and ready to go. For crispiness, this is the test I like to do. You should hear this sound when you rub over it with a fork. Otherwise, you need to put it back in the oven and give it a little more time. I like to take a little bit of this sauce. We have a sauce. You remember I said you will have a sauce when it's all said and done. And I like to take a little bit of this sauce and pour it over the top of the chicken. So here, the pasta is ready. It needs to come out firm, but not raw and crunchy. So now we're going to start on our Sicilian style pesto, made with mainly tomatoes, almonds, a very small amount of garlic, some red pepper flakes, olive oil, salt, pepper, of course, and some Parmesan cheese. Add the cheese. Sauce is ready to go. You pour it over and you toss it while it's hot. And as the pasta cools, it will absorb all the flavors of this sauce. This is why the choice of pasta matters, because you want to get a pasta that has little, I like to call it nooks and crannies for the sauce to kind of hide out into. Yum. To learn more about these dishes and many more international dishes, come visit us at the International Festival on the weekend of October 20th through the 22nd. You will also get to taste this food and interact with the chef presenters. This is so good. Now back to you, Bill.
Thank you, Charisse. And now when we come back, we're going to talk a little beer.